I still don't know how long I was standing in the woods before I realized I wasn't alone. The fire in front of me had burned down to a dull orange ring, barely lighting the trees. The night was too quiet. No insects, no wind, just that strange, thick silence that presses against your ears until you start hearing your own heartbeat. Then I heard my name, not shouted, not whispered, just spoken right behind me. And that was when I knew something had followed me into the deep woods. Before I tell you what really happened that night, take a moment to subscribe to Dark Truth, where I share real psychological horror stories that stay with you long after they end. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to be truly alone with something that wants you, you're in the right place. I wish I had never gone camping. It started as a simple idea. I needed space. My life had been shrinking for months. Work, phone, people, noise. Everything felt loud, even when nothing was happening. So I told myself I would disappear for a few days. No signal, no messages, just trees and air and quiet. I found a spot on a map. Deep woods, no trails marked. Just a blank green patch that promised solitude. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, food, a small knife, a flashlight, one old camera I liked to bring when I went hiking. The drive took almost 4 hours. The road got narrower the farther I went. The last gas station was a cracked building with flickering lights and a man behind the counter who stared at me for too long when I told him where I was headed. "Not many go there," he said. I laughed it off. By the time I parked, the sun was already low. I walked another hour into the woods until the sounds of the road were gone. I found a small clearing between tall trees and set up my tent. The woods felt heavy, not dangerous, just old, like they had been standing there long before anyone ever stepped inside them. That first evening was peaceful. I cooked, I ate, I watched the sky darken through the branches. I even smiled to myself, thinking this was exactly what I needed. But when the night came, the silence felt different. It wasn't the gentle quiet I expected. It was a hollow quiet, like something had been turned off. No bugs, no birds, no distant animal calls. Just nothing. I told myself it was normal. Maybe the temperature changed. Maybe animals were sleeping. Still, I slept lightly. The next day went fine. I explored a little. The trees all looked the same, tall, close together. It was easy to lose track of where I was, so I kept marking branches with small pieces of cloth. Around noon, I thought I heard footsteps behind me. When I stopped, they stopped. When I walked, they walked. I turned around. Nothing, just trees. That night, the silence came back, and something else. A faint sound, not close, not far, like someone slowly dragging their feet through dry leaves. I sat up in my tent, holding my breath, listening. The sound circled me, very slowly. I didn't unzip the tent. I didn't move. Eventually, it stopped. I didn't sleep after that. On the third day, I tried to leave. I followed my cloth markers, but they led me somewhere I didn't recognize. The trees felt closer together. The air felt heavier. The sky looked wrong, like it was dimmer than it should have been. I kept walking until I realized I was back at my campsite. I laughed nervously. told myself I just took a wrong turn. So I tried again. Same result. No matter which way I went, I ended up back at that clearing. By evening, my laughter was gone. That night, the voice came, soft, calm, right outside my tent. "I know you're awake." I didn't answer. "I just want to talk." My hands were shaking. "I've been waiting," the voice said. "Waiting for me." I stayed frozen inside my tent for what felt like hours. The voice never raised itself. It didn't sound angry. It didn't sound threatening. That somehow made it worse. "I can hear you breathing," it said. I pressed my hand over my mouth, even though I knew it was too late. Leaves crunched slowly as something walked around my tent, not circling like before, inspecting. "Don't be afraid," the voice said. "You came here to be alone, didn't you?" The fabric of the tent shifted slightly, like someone had leaned against it. I squeezed my eyes shut. "Open the door." I didn't. After a long time, the pressure disappeared. The footsteps faded into the trees, but the silence stayed. I waited until the sky started to lighten before I crawled out. My body felt stiff. My eyes burned from not sleeping. There were footprints around my tent, bare feet, long, too long. They stopped right at the edge of the fabric, as if whoever made them had been standing there for a long time, watching me. I packed quickly. I didn't care about being neat. I just needed to leave. I picked a direction and walked. The woods felt wrong now, not just quiet, aware. Every tree looked like it was leaning closer. Every shadow looked like it was hiding something. Every time I stopped, I felt like something was stopping too. After an hour, I heard it again. Footsteps, slow, unhurried, always behind me. I started walking faster. So did they. I didn't run. Something inside me told me not to. Like prey running only makes things worse. My thoughts became loud. I kept telling myself this was just fear, just exhaustion, just imagination. But then I heard breathing, not mine. Dry, slow, too close. I spun around. Nothing. But the air felt warmer, like someone had just been standing there. By late afternoon, I found something that made my stomach drop. Another campsite. Old, rotten, a collapsed tent, rusted cans, torn cloth, and bones, human bones. They were scattered, bleached white against the dirt. I backed away slowly. That was when I heard my own voice. "Help me." It came from somewhere in the trees. It sounded exactly like me. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. "I'm lost," my voice said. "Please." The footsteps moved closer. I ran. I didn't care anymore. Branches tore at my skin. My lungs burned. I could hear something running too, but it didn't sound like feet anymore. It sounded like something sliding, gliding. I tripped and fell into the dirt. I looked up. Between the trees, I saw it. Tall, thin. Its skin looked like stretched bark. Its face was almost human, but wrong. The eyes were too deep, the mouth too wide. It was smiling with my smile. "I told you," it said in my voice. "You weren't alone." I don't remember how I escaped. I just remember waking up at the edge of the woods, hours later, covered in scratches and dirt. They never found anyone else. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear footsteps and my voice calling my name. I wish that was where it ended. I really do. That would have been a clean story. A terrifying one, sure, but something you could walk away from. Something you could tell yourself was just a strange, isolated incident deep in the woods. But the woods didn't let me go that easily. When I woke up at the edge of the forest, the sky was gray. Not morning gray, not evening gray, just a flat, dead color that made time feel meaningless. I lay there for a long time, staring up through the branches, trying to convince myself I was safe. I wasn't. My car was still where I left it. That was the only normal thing about the world. The door was unlocked. My keys were on the tire, exactly where I had put them. I didn't remember leaving them there. I drove away without looking back. My hands were shaking so badly that the steering wheel rattled. I kept expecting to see something in the rearview mirror. A shape, a face, my face. But the road stayed empty. When I finally reached my apartment, everything felt wrong. The walls looked thinner. The air felt heavier. Even the sounds of the city seemed distant, like they were coming from another place. I tried to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the clearing, the fire, the footprints, the thing wearing my face. After a few days, I started noticing small changes. My chair would be moved when I was sure I hadn't touched it. My phone would have messages I didn't remember sending. Simple ones. Are you there? I'm lonely. One night, I woke up to the sound of breathing, slow, dry, right next to my bed. I didn't turn my head. I followed you. A voice whispered, my voice. I still go outside sometimes. I walk in crowded places. I stay where people are. I keep lights on. I keep noise around me. But when everything goes quiet, when the world goes still, I hear footsteps, not in the woods, in my apartment, and somewhere, deep inside my head, something is smiling because it knows I was never really alone. The problem with fear is that it changes you. At first, it lives outside you, in dark corners, in strange sounds, in shadows that feel too deep. But over time, it starts to live inside you. It learns the shape of your thoughts, the rhythm of your breathing, the memories you try not to touch. That thing from the woods didn't just follow me home. It moved in. I started losing time, not sleep, not daydreaming, real time. I would be standing in my kitchen, making coffee, and then suddenly I would be sitting on my couch with a mug cold in my hands and no memory of walking there. At first it was minutes, then hours. One morning, I woke up with dried mud on my feet. Forest mud. I hadn't been back to the woods. At least, I didn't remember going. The voice started speaking in my head. Not loud, not screaming. Soft, familiar, comforting. It sounded like my own thoughts, but they weren't mine. You don't have to fight anymore. You're tired. I can take over for a while. I would find my journal filled with writing in my handwriting that I didn't remember, putting there the same sentence over and over. I am still in the woods. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in the mirror, doing things I wasn't doing, smiling when my face felt empty, blinking when my eyes were wide open. One night, I woke up standing in my living room. All the lights were off. The front door was open, and I was holding my car keys. On the floor in front of me, written in dirt and leaves, were footprints. Long, too long, leading out into the dark. I slammed the door and locked it, pressing my back against the wood, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. Inside my head, I heard a soft laugh. "You can lock me out," it said, "but you can't lock me in. I don't know how much of me is left." Sometimes I look at my hands and they don't feel like they belong to me. Sometimes I hear myself speaking when my mouth isn't moving. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, I smell the woods, wet earth, old leaves, decay, and I know deep down that the forest never really let me leave. It just let me think I did. The worst part isn't the fear anymore. It's the feeling of being replaced. I still go to work. I still talk to people. I still answer when someone says my name. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. But inside, there are moments when I feel like I'm sitting behind my own eyes, watching someone else use my body. There are hours I can't account for. Sometimes I find dirt under my fingernails. Sometimes my shoes are wet, even though it hasn't rained. Sometimes I wake up with scratches on my arms, thin and long, like branches dragged across skin. And always in my head, that voice is there, patient. "You're getting better at letting go," it says. I tried to fight it. I taped my hands together when I slept. I locked my bedroom door. I left lights on all night. I recorded myself on my phone, hoping to catch whatever happened when I wasn't there. One morning, I watched the video. I saw myself sit up in bed. I saw myself turn to the camera, and I heard my own mouth say, "He's not home right now." Then I smiled. Not a normal smile, a stretched, unnatural one. And I turned the camera off. That was when I understood something that made my stomach drop. The thing from the woods doesn't need to chase me anymore. It already has me. Sometimes, when I'm quiet, I can feel it walking through my memories, touching them, learning them, wearing them like clothes. It knows my childhood. It knows my fears. It knows how to be me. I don't know what happens when it finishes. Maybe I disappear. Maybe I stay trapped inside, listening as it lives my life. All I know is that when I close my eyes, I don't see my apartment anymore. I see trees, endless trees, and in the distance, a small clearing with a fire burning low, waiting. The clearing is always the same. No matter how many times I see it in my dreams, nothing changes. The ring of stones, the blackened earth where the fire once burned, the tall trees standing in a perfect, silent circle around it, like they're guarding something or keeping something inside. When I dream, I'm not alone there anymore. I can feel something standing just behind me, so close that I can feel its breath on the back of my neck. But when I turn around, I see myself, not how I am now, how I was when I first came to the woods, tired, lonely, looking for quiet. "I've been waiting," it says, smiling with my mouth. I wake up every time right before it touches me, but lately I don't wake up as fast. The dreams are getting longer, more detailed, more real. Sometimes I wake up and I can still feel pine needles stuck to my skin. I tried to tell someone once. I called my sister and told her I was scared. She went quiet for a moment. Then she said something that made my blood turn cold. "You already called me about this," she said, "last night. You sounded fine. You said you were feeling better." I don't remember making that call. That night, I stayed awake, sitting on my bed with the lights on, listening to every small sound in the apartment. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps, not inside. outside my bedroom door. Slow. Bah! I watched the shadow move under the door. I didn't breathe. A voice spoke softly. I told her, "You're okay." My voice. The doorknob turned slightly. I threw myself against the door, holding it shut with all my strength. The thing on the other side laughed, not out loud, inside my head. "You're getting harder to keep quiet," it said, "but you're not in charge anymore." I don't know how long I held that door. Eventually, the footsteps walked away. In the morning, the door was unlocked, and on the floor outside my room, in dry dirt, were 2 sets of footprints. One pair was mine. The other was wrong. Longer, thinner, deeper, like something heavier had been wearing me, and suddenly I understood something worse than being hunted. I had become a trail, and whatever followed it was already inside my life. I stopped going outside after that. I told work I was sick. I unplugged my phone. I covered the mirrors. I tried to make my apartment feel smaller, safer, like a box I could hide in. But the woods don't care about walls. At night, I started hearing branches scrape against my windows, even though I live on the 3rd floor. Soft, slow, like fingers testing glass. Sometimes I hear leaves crunching in my hallway. Sometimes I smell smoke, like a dying campfire. The voice is stronger now, clearer. It doesn't pretend to be my thoughts anymore. "You're fading," it says. "I'm becoming." I try to remember who I was before the woods. My job, my hobbies, my favorite food, my friends. They all feel like someone else's memories, like stories I was told about a person who used to exist. I look at old photos of myself, and I feel nothing. No connection, no recognition. Just a hollow sense that I'm looking at something that's already gone. Last night, I woke up standing in my bathroom. The lights were off. The mirror was uncovered. And I was staring straight into my own eyes. But they weren't looking back at me. They were looking through me. My mouth moved on its own. "Thank you," it said, "for bringing me out." I tried to scream. Nothing came out. I felt something deep inside me shift, like a door closing. And for a moment, I was very, very far away. Now it's getting harder to write this. My hands don't always listen. My thoughts drift off, pulled toward that clearing, that fire, that waiting thing wearing my face. I don't know how much time I have left. If you're hearing this, if you're listening to my voice, please understand something. The woods are not empty. They are patient. And if you ever go deep enough, they don't let you come back alone. Sometimes the words on the page don't look like mine anymore. The letters tilt. They stretch. They feel like they're being guided by a hand that knows exactly what it wants to say. I have to fight for every sentence now, like I'm pushing against someone else's grip on the pen. The voice doesn't interrupt me as much. It doesn't need to. It just waits. I can feel it behind my thoughts. The way you feel someone standing in a dark room even when you can't see them. Waiting for me to get tired. Waiting for me to slip. I haven't slept in 2 days. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that clearing. The fire is always burning now, not bright. Low and sickly. The shadows stretch too long, twisting around the trees like they're alive. And I'm always standing at the edge, unable to move, watching something kneel beside the flames, something with my face. It looks up at me and smiles. You don't have to be afraid anymore, it says. This is where you belong. The scariest part is sometimes it feels right. Sometimes the idea of letting go feels warm, like lying down after being tired for a very long time. That's how it works. It doesn't take you by force. It makes you want to give up. Last night, I heard my front door open. I was sitting in the dark, listening. Footsteps moved through my apartment. They weren't careful. They weren't hiding. They were confident, like someone who knows every inch of the place. I stayed still as the footsteps stopped right behind me. I felt breath on my neck. Not cold, not warm, just present. You've done well, the voice said. We're almost done. I don't know what done means. I don't want to find out. But I'm scared that soon I won't be able to care. Because right now, even as I'm writing this, I can feel something gently pulling me back. Toward the woods, toward the fire, toward the part of me that is no longer me. The pull is getting stronger. It feels like gravity inside my skull, dragging every thought toward that one place. I'll be in the middle of a sentence, and suddenly my mind goes blank, filled only with the image of tall trees and that dying fire. I can feel myself slipping into it, the way you sink into sleep when you're too tired to fight it. I started hearing sounds from the woods in my apartment, not memories, not imagination, real sounds, wind moving through leaves, branches creaking, the low, distant crackle of a fire. They come from nowhere and everywhere at once, filling the rooms like invisible fog. I pressed my ear against the wall last night. On the other side, I swear I heard footsteps on dirt, soft. Bah, too slow to be human. Come back, the voice whispered. Your body remembers the way. I tried to distract myself. I turned on the TV, the radio, anything to drown it out. But every sound slowly warped into the same rhythm. Crunch, step, crunch, step, like someone walking through leaves. I found something in my closet this morning. My old camping backpack. I never brought it home. I left it in the woods. It was sitting neatly on the floor, zipped up, clean and dry. Inside was my knife, my flashlight, and a handful of pine needles, fresh, green, still smelling of sap. I dropped it and backed away, shaking. In my head, the voice laughed softly. You packed for the trip, it said. I don't know when. I don't know how, but it's planning something, using my hands, using my body, using what's left of me. I've started to feel like I'm fading, like a shadow being slowly erased by light. My thoughts don't always feel real anymore. Sometimes I forget what I was just thinking, and in the empty space, I feel something else settling in, comfortable, at home. If I stop writing for too long, I think it will take over completely. So I keep going, even though my fingers feel numb, even though the room smells like wet earth, even though just now I heard my front door open again, slowly, quietly, and this time no footsteps followed, just silence, thick, waiting. I'm sitting at my desk now, staring at the door. It's still open, just a small gap, but wide enough to let the darkness inside stretch into the room like a long, thin shadow. The sounds of the city are gone. No cars, no voices, no wind. Only that quiet, breathing silence I first felt in the woods. I think it's standing just outside, not rushing, not hiding, waiting for me to stop fighting. My hands feel heavy. The keys on this keyboard feel far away, like they belong to someone else. Every few seconds I lose a word, then a thought, then a piece of myself. I can feel something gently pressing against the inside of my head, like fingers against glass. Testing. The voice hasn't spoken in a while. That's worse. When it was talking, I could pretend it was still separate from me. Now it doesn't need to. I close my eyes for just a moment. I shouldn't, but I do, and I'm back there. The clearing. The fire is almost out now, just glowing embers in a ring of stones. The trees are tall and still, watching. I'm standing in the middle of it. I'm not scared anymore. That's how I know I'm losing. Across from me is someone who looks exactly like me. But he looks settled, like he finally found where he belongs. He holds out his hand. "You can rest now," he says softly. Behind him, the woods stretch out, endless and dark and quiet. So quiet. I feel so tired. My eyes open again. I'm still in my apartment. The door is still open, but I don't remember why that was important. I don't remember why I was afraid. There's a smell in the air, pine, smoke, wet leaves. I think I hear footsteps, or maybe that's just my heart. I don't know how much longer this will sound like me. If someone ever finds these words, if you're listening to this voice, please don't go looking for me. Don't go into the deep woods. They don't kill you. They don't chase you. They wait until you want to stay. And somewhere out there, in a quiet clearing lit by dying fire, I think I already have.